Yes, yes, boys and girls, look who I got. Oh, I don't know if you're excited as I am. This is one of these little selfish moments of my own because look at this. It's stirring the pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, Ariela Nyx. Thank you so much, Ariela, for sharing your time and taking the time to talk to us, the fans.
Oh, no, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Oh man, I did hear a notification. Please don't hold that against me. I'm not that bright. We all know that. So
Oh,
let
stop.
me fix my stuff. Yeah,
Okay.
there we go. There we go. Very much better. Oh my, I apologize. Ariella Nix, you and you, let's start with this. You and the family, you're good through this whole crazy mess we got going on?
Yep. Yeah, everybody's good, thank God. It's crazy
Yes,
times, but
it
everybody's okay.
is.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
How about you on your end? Everybody's okay with you?
We are good. I'm kind of the essential. We do the food stuff. So I'm kind of bobbing and weaving and dodging the COVID, if you will.
Gotcha.
So anyhow, we are good, thank you. What I like to do is give an introduction to the fans that don't know you, Ariela Nyx. Ariela Nyx to the fans to Ariela Nyx, and to the ones that do know you, just to get a little bit more insight, maybe get some stories, have a couple laughs. We just like to have fun on Turn Pot. That's what we do.
Yep. Sounds good.
Excellent. So I'm just going to start with I haven't known you for too long, maybe 3 or 4 years ish, or 3 years. I don't know. I've been in the game for only a little bit, but man, when I ever saw Ariela Nyx, I was drawn right to her. She's got sass, she's got charisma, she's got attitude, she's got all sorts of things that a woman wrestler, if you're a bad girl, a bad girl, that you need to elevate your character. So I'm going to start right there. I've only seen you as a heel. So for me to, because we don't know each other very well, give us the fans a little insight of your character. Are you always a heel or do you kind of go both sides? Because I'm very intrigued.
Um, when I started out, I started out as a manager. I don't know if you know that. So I definitely always worked heel. And for the most part, I am a heel, but some places now have been having me as the good girl, which is new for me. So it's getting to see a new side of Ariela, the nicer, sweeter side of her, but still
Oh,
sassy.
so that's actually kind of cool that you're doing both because I like to ask the men and women that do or have done both, how difficult is it to like just turn that switch off because you're used to being this, what we've described earlier. Now you got to kind of turn that off, embrace the fans a little bit more. And the young ladies and the audience, they look up to the women. And you got to kind of embrace them. How hard is it to utilize both heel and face?
Um, it's kind of hard. It took me a while to get used to it, especially like you said, I'm more working usually as a heel. So, but it's fun. I like being both. And like you said, getting the crowd behind you and seeing like the little girls excited. It was first time I like had fans coming up to me and they're like, "Oh my God, we like you. We want to be wrestled like you." I'm like, "Oh, they're so cute."
Isn't that like for a wrestler? That's got to be one of the most amazing things as you're coming up in the business.
Yeah, agreed. Just to know that you touched somebody's life or made their day at least. And they're like, "Oh, we like you. We want to support you. Or we want to be a wrestler like you." It's just like, me? Why me?
Uh, and it kind of goes both ways too, though. And I've seen many both sides of the coin, the good guy or the bad guy. During intermission, the kids and people will flock to those merch tables, but it doesn't matter if you're bad or good. They still appreciate what you do and they still talk you up as you're in conversation. Am I correct on saying that?
That's true. Yeah, there's sometimes where I think the good guys do get a little more attention just because like the fans can relate to them. Sometimes they're like, "Oh, they're here. I don't know if they're gonna be like bad in real life or something." But usually if I'm like selling my merch, I'll get somebody coming over talking to me, whether no matter what character I'm playing.
Uh, could you could you maybe explain to the fans? Just come out to Ariela's merch table. I may look like I'm mean, but I won't bite, and we might have a little conversation.
Yeah, well, you said it right there for me. I think I'm nice in real life, hopefully. But yeah, I love it meeting the fans. Like having their support means the world to me. So I'm grateful for anybody that comes over, buys some sort of merch. I'm always grateful for that.
I didn't mean to speak for you, but come on, fans. Just because they're bad girls and bad guys, you got to get to those parts of the merch table too. You can't skip over being like, oh, she's gonna bite my head off. Nah, 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 nah.
No, not if you're supporting me.
Wrestling is a very hard endeavor to do as a male. Now, I've been starting to get some of the ladies on stirring the pot. Christina Marie, Big Juicy, Ref Blue Shoes. I love Ref Blue Shoes. Not that I don't like the others, but I mean, come on, it's Ref Blue Shoes.
Of course, she's great.
It has to be a harder endeavor as a woman. Can you kind of speak to the fans on how difficult it was upcoming? And when you were coming up, were you accepted as a woman in the locker room?
I believe so overall. I don't think personally I dealt with a lot of issues like, oh, you're a woman, we can't use you, or anything negative towards me being a woman. And I've always been one of the guys. I felt like growing up, I always had like a lot of male friends, just hanging out with everybody. So I think that helped me a lot too. Like when I first started training, it was just cool with everybody, no drama, no, oh, you're a guy, you're a girl, no, none of that. So I think for me, it's been pretty okay. I know sometimes it can be harder because a lot of places will only book men. So sometimes that makes it harder to get opportunities, or they only have one women's match, so they're not going to book as many females. But I don't think I've been too discriminated against, maybe just because I'm a woman.
That's fantastic to hear, because wrestling, it takes obviously it takes all sorts of characters to make wrestling go around, and characters what I really like to circulate around on this show, because it gives us the fans a chance to maybe not get these kind of stories, or maybe the origin of your character while you're at the merch table, even if you are talking to them as a fan to wrestler. So if you could please, when you started, and we'll definitely get into that, when you started, were you Ariela Nyx from the beginning coming up?
Yes. Yep. I've been Ariela since day one.
Is it a character? I mean, or is that your, as they say, government name? You don't have to get too personal. I mean,
no, that's not my real name.
Okay, that's okay. But now we know at least that much. So it's a character-driven character, because some of those times when you have to produce a character from scratch, it becomes a little difficult for the men and women to rise up a little bit. Not all the time, it's just a little more difficult, I think, personally. Is it an extension of yourself, because those are the easier ones to kind of cultivate?
It's a mix of both. It's kind of a mix of, I feel, how people see me that don't know me. There's been plenty of times in my past where they're like, oh, like, I thought you were a bitch until I met you and actually had a conversation. You're bad cool. So I try to play off that a little bit, because that's what people see me as, and it's not intentional. So it's like a mix of that and trying to be very confident within myself. So I use the character that make me more confident in real life.
Confidence is definitely a big part of Ariela Nyx's character. Where did Ariela Nyx come from? Was it a suggestion from a friend, or did you just have a brainstorm?
Well, the name actually, it's a weird story. Nyx is the goddess of night. A friend recommended, like, oh, maybe look up Greek gods and maybe come up with a name from there. So I like the goddess of night, or what she stood for. Originally, I wanted to use the name Alana instead of Ariela. But Alana, that's when Rusev and Lana really blew up. So I didn't want anything to sound like somebody that was on TV. So I was like, I like the A sound. So I was looking up A names, and then I found Ariela, and it meant Lioness of God. And I thought that was cool.
So there's a meaning behind that. That's pretty cool. I haven't run into that, really, to be honest with you. That's actually a first right here in Certain the Pop Boys and Girls. Check that shit out. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I had to have my name mean something.
Now the attitude, the charisma, the sass, and all of that we described at the beginning, where does that all just come from? Is it something that, maybe an alter ego, or, this is me on a pissed off day?
I would say a mix of both. Mostly alter ego, but definitely have some sass in real life too. And like you said, catch me on a day where I'm just like, nope attitude.
The women give us as many memorable moments in wrestling as the men do. And I'm not trying to separate and say one from the other, but it takes so many to make that whole event or show, however you want to address it. It takes so many. It takes a village and an army, if you will, to get those shows off and make them really well. Yep. Your story that you give us in any of the matches, I've never been disappointed in an Ariela Nyx match. I tell you, so you're doing a fantastic job telling us your story through the art of wrestling. It's been
I
awesome.
really appreciate that. Thank you. That means a lot. So thank you. I'm glad you enjoy the character.
Absolutely, because I'm scared shitless of you. I will tell you that right now. I don't know if you know this about me, but when I'm at wrestling, I kind of tend to run my mouth. My dad tries to pull me back, and then if I don't, he points me out at that bad guy or that bad girl. So my pop, I gotta talk to him about that stuff. He really puts me in some positions, you know.
Uh-oh. You got to sit away from him then.
You know what? That might be a good start. Excuse me. Now the ladies again, you have to stand out a little bit. And like you said, your name means something, but your gear, it looks very nice. It looks polished. You present it well. You wear it well. How did the gear become, and colors? Does it really matter, or is it something you prefer?
I like a little bit of color. It makes you stick out. I feel like a lot of people do blacks and like monotone colors. So I wanted something that pops a little bit. I always like, you see, I wear like the bright purple lipstick or bright color. So I like a little bit of color. I think it stands out a little.
It does, because it's easy to get lost in the shuffle of wrestling. It really is. So those little things, like you said, bright lipstick, maybe a couple little, brighter accessories, whatever on your gear. It really just makes it, because like Mr. Danny Adam, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. His trunks are bright as the sun, and they're green, and you see him. I'll tell you that right now.
Yep, can't miss him.
Now, if I'm to understand, I'm out of the Connecticut area. If I remember correctly, are you out of the New York City area?
That is correct. Yep.
Where do you call home base? Because I haven't seen you much in the New York. I see you in my area. So explain to the fans, what's home base? Is it your training ground? And maybe we could get a little training action from Ariela Nyx, how she started coming up.
Okay. Well, born and raised in the Bronx. I currently train in Long Island at Creator Pro with Pat Buck and Kurt Hawkins. I've been with them for about a year and a half now. So it's New York, all of New York City, I would consider home, but Bronx is my home base, really.
How long have you been in the game, if you will?
I've been in about 5 years. I worked as a manager my first 2.5 years. I took a year off. And then when I came back, that's when I made the transition to being a wrestler.
Now, being a manager, a referee, a ring announcer, not so much a ring announcer. You kind of don't have to take a bump, but as a manager, you got to take the bumps. Was there training previous to that to get you ready to be said manager and then work on the wrestlers?
Yep, I trained with the wrestlers just like I was going to be a wrestler. The goal was to be a wrestler, but I enjoyed managing too. And I was like, I want to do this first and get comfortable, and until I felt I was ready to do matches and wrestle.
Who are the couple of the names that we might not be familiar with that you've managed on your upcoming?
The main person I managed was Ken Broadway. We were in Cash Flow together for the longest time. Yeah. He was the main person I managed. Before Nova Pro shut down, I was in a group called the Gator Pit that was Coach Gator. He was like the leader of the group, and it was group from down there, locals. So those were like the main two that I worked with.
Now, as a manager, I'm kind of intrigued. When the guys are calling matches together, sometimes it's pre-event and sometimes it's kind of on the fly. But when it's pre-event, I'm very curious on these kind of things. Were you part of getting the match together, and you've got to know where this is going to happen and where you've got to be? So you were kind of all part of that whole brainstorming of getting the match together?
For the most part, yeah. I let the guys, come up what they want to do, but at least I know what's happening, where they need me for whatever spot, whatever position. So always definitely a part of it, just so I know what's going on, and that way I don't mess up anything.
So now your transition, you go, wow, I think I'm sitting on a couple too many pillows there. Ooh, that's better. Now, as your transition from manager to wrestler, is it as nervous coming out with a wrestler as a manager, or was it much more nervous as a wrestler coming in as a wrestler?
Definitely coming in as a wrestler. that was definitely harder for me and a lot more still is, in a good way, but definitely more nerve-wracking.
Now, I also like to talk about how the wrestlers and the crowd or the fans kind of communicate without even communicating sometimes. Now, as a manager, you've got to get the crowd invested into your product being cash flow, if you will, or the Gator Pit. The Gator Pit. That's a crazy ass name, by the way.
Yep. Yep.
So you've already kind of been working the crowd. Now, what I like to feel out is when you come out the curtain, you're coming out for the first event. If you're a healer or a face, doesn't matter either way. Are you hearing the crowd when you come out? Are you feeling that and feeding off of it? Or are you just like, you know what? I've got shit to do in the ring. That's my focus.
It's a mix of both. Like, you try to gauge the crowd to see where they are. Like sometimes you work at a place, they don't know you, and then you're just like, okay, no reaction. Because again, it's not their fault. They don't know who you are. So, I'll try to heal it up more or baby it up more from a face just so that way they can get behind me. You're like, oh, we like her, or we make sure we don't like her. But, at the same time, I'm worried, okay, I got to make sure I know this spot, that spot. So it's a little mix of both.
The answers are always different, but similar in fashion. Mm-hmm. You men and women are just fascinate me. I don't know what it is about wrestling, but we see the big platform, the WWE. That's been the pinnacle for a long time and such. But since wrestling has flourished as much as it has over the past, even just say 5 years, we'll say, we have the AEW, the ROH, and all of those bigger companies. But on the indie scene, you've got these big, giant companies that are producing stars that get on TV. Is Ariela Nyx looking ahead to get on TV in her career, or is she comfortable in the indie zone?
I want to grow. I won't say necessarily TV. Not that I would turn it down if I got the opportunity, but I would just like to be, at least get to the bigger indies, get my name out there, travel more, work new places, new people. So if I end up at TV, that's great, but it's not my main focus right now.
Hey, you answered that pretty quickly. You have a goal, you have a focus. That's what counts, man. You need because wrestling is so hard to persevere in. It really is.
It is.
Do you use a manager? I'm kind of curious.
No, not really. Jared was my manager. I know you saw at PvP. But so it's cool to have somebody in my corner. Usually I'm used to being by myself or being in somebody else's. So it's cool to have a manager. Yep.
That's kind of why I brought it up, because I'm not used to seeing you with a manager. I walk in there and I kind of do my shtick, Kincaid center ring, blah, 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 blah. And I happen to do one with Jared Silverkite. I got to say that correctly. Oh, my goodness. We kind of call it Silver Kite. It's much easier.
That works.
I was doing my shtick with my friend Laura C. We kind of hang out at the shows, and we were having a blast with him. But he said that he was managing you, and it threw me way off. And I'm like, wait, Ariela doesn't come out with a manager. So that's why I kind of asked you, because I've never seen you with a manager. And what a mouthpiece to have. Holy cow, can that guy work a crowd?
Yes, he can. Yeah, he's great at what he does.
Just talking about Jared gets me a little under the collar, I gotta say, man. But hey, it's wrestling. That's what we do. We go there to have fun. We don't go there to sit on our hands or pick apart what's not happening in a ring or what's not being done. I cannot stand fans like that. They really pee me off.
Yeah.
So we go there, we have fun, we be vocal. We just, the interaction. That's another question that the intimacy of the independent scene is just amazing for me. I love, if I go to a WWE show, I feel lost. I don't feel part of it. I go back to Test of Strength or BWF or those shows. I'm like, this is my vibe right here. That close knit with the crowd and everything. You feel that vibe, right?
Yeah. I've been on both, as a fan going to independent shows before I started out. It definitely is a difference in going to WWE, those bigger shows. So I can definitely relate to that on both sides.
So growing up as a wrestling fan, what were you into, and who was your, I'll use the word influences, but that's like a general a random, or a general wrestling question, but yeah, basically it's who were some of your influence growing up, and what were you watching?
Grew up mostly watching WWE. My favorite all the time is Shawn Michaels. So he's definitely, I would say, the biggest influence because I love him to death. Another influence, Sensational Sherry. She was great. Loved like Bret Hart. The Ultimate Warrior is one of my favorites. So yeah, I grew up like in the early 90s. Stone Cold was another favorite too. So
Big, huge, over the top, larger than life characters, man. Holy cow. Sensational Sherry was something amazing. Oh my.
oh, she was the best. I miss her so much.
Now, when you're trying to build your character and obviously evolving, because you can't just stay the same little this and a little that as you evolve as a wrestler, what type of matches do you go to? Because I know a lot of you guys and girls, you look at the older stuff to kind of pick and choose from, not mimic, but kind of utilize in what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I go back and forth, like I do like a lot of the older stuff because they had like a lot of psychology and, they knew how to get over by just doing like a body slam or something simple. You see a lot of indies now where everybody's doing all these crazy flips and stuff like that. Like I can't do any of those flips. So I like to watch a mix just to see, what crowds react to. Oh, you might see one thing from one person, another thing from another. So I like to watch like a different variety just to get different ideas and stuff.
You're in New York City, which I mean, we're not too far away, but how does Ariela Nyx get intermingled with Test of Strength Wrestling? Because man, those guys are fantastic. I love that place.
Yeah, they were good. I missed. I gotta get back up there soon. I met Slick like a while back, actually when I was on my hiatus, and we stayed in touch. So like when he started with the whole Test of Strength, he messaged me, hit me up to come up, and it was great. I miss it up there.
The matches you have again. Always enjoy them. And when fans leave and we start talking about the matches and such on the road going home, Ariela Nyx, always in the conversation. Same thing at WMW. Laura C, myself, my dad, whoever goes, your name is always in that mix. So you're absolutely doing something right. Again,
Thank you.
Man, we have good times.
Appreciate it.
Now, speaking of WMW, I had on my show one Big Juicy. The juice is loose. I don't know if you know that, but the juice is loose.
Oh, yeah, I put it away. She's not loose no more. Kidding.
she's not giving up because we talked one Ariela Nyx and the match that you guys had, because that was a title shot for the PvP Pioneer Valley Pro Wrestling Women's Championship. Now, Big Juicy's a very newcomer. Ariela Nyx been on the scene for a little bit. It was kind of, what was your thoughts on seeing Big Juicy coming out? Like, man, I got this chick easily. I never even seen her, basically, the whole, give us the fans a little insight on that match, please.
At first, like you said, she's a newcomer. She's only had a few matches. So I said, this is going to be easy, but she gave me a little competition. I mean, of course I still won, but she gave me some competition and she has a lot of potential and she's going to grow and, she's going to do some things. So, but, as long, I can still beat her though. So that's all that matters.
So, speaking of the PvP Women's Championship, I'm curious, who did you win it from? When did you win it from? And how long have you been a champ at PvP?
I beat Davian. That was at the end of last year. So it's been a few months now. And I'm looking forward to defending it again. I just need wrestling to come back. So, looking forward to having a nice long title reign.
We are missing wrestling just as much. Well, I don't know. Maybe the same. I don't know. It's hard to tell because you guys miss it a lot. We miss it a lot. It might be mutual, Being a champion, that's a little bit different than walking into an event without being the champion. Now, could you tell us is there a different mindset going against Davian and then having the belt already and then going against a competitor like Big Juicy? Is it the same mindset or is it kind of a little bit different?
It's a little bit different. Like Davian's more experienced than I am, so I knew that going in. And of course, I beat her too. So no, but you just go in. It's back and forth. Like you want to win. You study your opponent before. Like when Big Juicy came out, I didn't know she was my opponent, and then I just knew that she was new. So I was like, okay, new, whatever. Just know what I know. With Davian, I studied her from before because I knew of her, and I knew it was going to take work to win. And now, if I wrestle her again, I got to make sure I have to do what I got to do to stay champion.
So we were talking about going back and looking at matches to present your character and such. But as you're coming up to a title match, you've actually gone back to look at Davian matches to kind of see what she's all about.
Yeah, I like to look at all of my, but not just her, but especially if it's somebody that I've never wrestled before, try to at least get familiar with the person if I'm not. I mean, I've known of her way before, so I was already familiar, but you got to study your opponents a little bit.
Again, very intrigued. That's the stuff we, the fans, get to know about, because I don't know what Ariela Nyx is thinking, because she's always barking at me as I boo her. It's just this relationship.
You can't boo Ariela Nyx.
Sorry. Sorry. Now, down in the Bronx, I've been to this, now correct me again, because I'm probably wrong. Dario's Fitness Center. Is that correct?
Yep. Dario's, right? Yep.
Darrow's, yes. I've been there a couple times. That's a fantastic place for BWF, the Bronx Wrestling Federation. Have you gone through there and competed in there?
I wrestled there once, yep.
Oh, well, BWF, I hope you're watching, because I just had some Brother Greatness on. He's a Cruiserweight champion, and I know
like Brother Greatness. Yep.
That smile BWF right there. That's why you need Ariela Nyx on your shows. Reach out, get you some Ariela Nyx.
There's some good guys over there. So hopefully I can make a return soon. So we'll see.
Now, the crowd is so much different. And I'm just going to use BWF as an example, because around here, we hoot and holler and stuff. We do our thing. But holy crap, you go to BWF and those guys are freaking crazy, man.
Yep, that's for sure.
It's such a different vibe. And I'm like, what the hell is going on around here? It's very exciting. Yeah. I mean, when they cheer, they really get into it. The music is very loud, and the ambiance is really cool at BW. And I only use BWF because that's the only one I've been down into the city. So I got to start making my way around there and catching some other cool promotions.
Yes, you do.
What are some of the other promotions that you work in your area that we might not even know that we could maybe get on social media and check out?
Well, first, definitely is Create a Pro. That's where I train. I've been there, like I mentioned earlier, about a year and a half. It's a great roster, great students there, great trainers with Kurt and Pat. So that would be the first that I would recommend to check out in the New York area.
Well, I'm telling you, wrestling is so flourishing. There's so many talented men and women. You've gone against a champion. You've beaten a champion. Now you are a champion. Now, as a champion, who would you like to come after that belt of Ariela Nyx?
Oh, wow. That's hard. I don't know. I'm open to all competition. There's so many talented women all over the country, and bring it on. Everybody, give me all the competition.
And again, I just run at the mouth. I would love to see Ariela Nyx versus Christina Marie, maybe something like that.
Yes, it's been a while. We've wrestled each other a few times, but it's been a while, so we need a new match. It's been a while.
Oh, really? You guys have had a couple scuffles, if you will?
Oh, yes, we have. Yep. I think we're like 2-2, or maybe she's 3-2. I don't know. But we've had some good matches. She's one of my favorites.
Promoters, bookers, whoever the hell you are, get this happening right here. Yes. Oh, I would love to see that. I'm going to have to get back. Do you have it on your YouTube page? I would love to see that.
There's some there. Some of the matches are up. I'll find them for you. I'll look for them.
Yes. See what happens, fans? We ask. It never hurts to ask. You ask and you might just get a little something special. Thank you for sharing. That would be amazing.
Yes. You're welcome.
Now, see, today with one Ariela Nyx, I'm not drinking, and I'm not a drinker normally. With Christina Marie, I had a little apple pie moonshine. Ooh. And I was kind of effed up a little bit. And I hope I didn't make an ass of myself. I watched it back that same night, but I should probably watch back again.
I bet you were fine.
Now, we just celebrated Zebra Week with the fine referees that I know and love and some of our fans know and love. And we interact with them as much as we do with the wrestlers. Again, my curiosity kills me about wrestling. It intrigues me. Do you find yourself that you would prefer a specific, well, not all the time because you can't, but do you find yourself being more comfortable with one specific ref, or refs is just, get in there, do your job, I'll do my job?
I've been fortunate enough to work with some great refs. So if I know you, I'm totally fine, feel comfortable. The ref can really make or break a match. And I don't think the refs don't get enough credit. So I'm always grateful for a good ref. Sometimes I know when they're very inexperienced, everybody gets nervous and stuff like that. And, which isn't a problem. We all have been there. But I do like, having a ref that I know that I can count on. And just, you don't have to say it sometimes. They just know. And that helps a lot.
Like you said, referees don't get enough respect to play their part in that dance inside that ring, because that's why we celebrated Zebra Week. It was amazing. Oh, we had so much fun. We had Ref Will Dojan. Ref Will?
Oh, I love Will. Yeah, he's great.
We had Ref Blue Shoes Gina. God, I love her to pieces.
Yeah,
oh my God.
I haven't seen her in a while. I like her too. She's gotten really good.
We had Ref Quinn. Say one of the most respected in the business.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I can't remember the last time I've seen him, but I'm glad he's doing well. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He was amazing. Just kicking back with the misses, by the way. We met the misses on Stirring the Pot. It was awesome.
Oh, nice. I got to go check that out.
And then I had Ref Bill Thompson. I'm sure you're familiar with one. Yep. Ref Bill Thompson.
Oh, why you have that face?
I was slam drunk on that effing moonshine. Oh my God. You know what? We used to love each other. We would embrace each other at the events. And then he hit me with a kendo stick one day in my leg. And then he would kick me on a regular basis in my shin. And then he kind of bopped me with a steel chair in my shin. And he continually kicks me in said shin every single time he sees me. And not only that, Ariela, my father, as I previously stated, if Ref Bill walks by me, my dad goes, "Hey, Ref Bill, you forgot to kick my kid."
That's Dad of the Year right there.
What the hell? Yeah, we have so much fun. We really do. Ref Miggy Stripes, we had El Ref. Oh my God, he should be a wrestler. Oh my God, that dude is huge, gigantic. I didn't mean to kind of name off all the refs, but that's the kind of fun we have with the referees, as much as fun that we do with you guys and girls.
Awesome. Yes, have fun with everybody.
I love to make Ref Bill crack. You know how you're not supposed to smile as a referee? Oh God, I love to make him laugh. Oh, one of my most favorite pastimes. Oh. God, so now, Test of Strength. We haven't seen you in a while. And now I want to talk about a specific lady that I kind of had a weird run in at the very beginning, was Talia Jeanette. Are you familiar with one Talia Jeanette?
Yes, we've wrestled a few times. Yep.
She came in with a lead pipe under Team Shazam's umbrella with Dan. I don't like saying his name. I'm not even going to say it. You know who it is.
Yep.
And she was doing this, and of course, I got to say something, and we got this relationship built right off the bat. I scared shitless of her. I thought I saw her at a BWF show one night, and I went to walk up.
That's who I wrestled at BWF a long time ago. Yep.
Well, when I went to go to the last BWF, I swear it was Talia Jeanette. I go walking up to her. I go to tap her on her shoulder, and the lady just happened to turn at the perfect time because I was going to say something stupid Kincaid-ish, and it wasn't her. I almost shit myself. Talk to us about Talia Jeanette, because I don't know anything about her. I've reached out through Team Shazam, and they no-sell me all the time. So could you talk to us, the fans, about a little Talia Jeanette, if that's okay?
Yeah, she's great. I know she's taking a hiatus right now, so I hope to see her back soon. I liked working with her a lot. We had a nice little feud going at one point, so hopefully she comes back. Look forward to seeing her back.
As much as I'm scared of her, I kind of do miss her.
Yeah, she's
Mm.
scary, but you kind of miss her a little bit,
It's that presence that when the females turn that switch on for wrestling,
Mhm.
I have to say, and I'm not just because I'm talking to a female wrestler, but man, the women when they turn that switch on, it's just a little bit different than the men. And
Mhm.
man, you guys project what you're doing all the time, and I read it, I get it. That bat signal goes out, I get it. Now, the Bronx scene, again, we talked is very different. Do you find, I don't want to say you have to wrestle different, but do you find it a different engagement in the ring or with your competitors? Say if you go from the Bronx area, then you work up in the Connecticut area. Do you find it a little different at all?
Yes and no. I explain it. I don't know. The crowds are kind of different. Like you said, they're a little more aggressive in the Bronx. I feel like more New York City, they're very aggressive. They're like when you mentioned at the beginning when they'll call you out if something goes wrong and stuff like that. So that makes it a little harder sometimes. But I love my Bronx people. Not that I don't love the Connecticut and the Massachusetts crowds either. They're great too.
Oh, hey, we slight nobody, but those NYC, man, the crowds are crazy. It is what it is, you know.
Yeah.
Now, does Ariela, 5 years deep in the game, does she still watch wrestling? Like, say you turn on the TV, it's Monday night. Do you watch the Raw or the Dynamite or NXT?
Yeah.
Are you still actively watching?
Yeah, I watch all of them every week, pretty much. Yep.
Now, the big question, do you watch as a fan or as a wrestler? Because it's hard when you're in the game. It's a little tough.
Yeah, I try to watch it as a fan, but sometimes I like to study the matches too, like watch how they work for TV and how that's different than working on the indies and stuff. So I watch it as both.
Hey, as long as you know where the hard cam is, I think you're golden. You know, they say
Yep.
get that hard cam, you know?
Yep.
Ariela Nyx, it's been an absolute joy talking to you. When you said yes, I go, I cannot wait to talk to her, but I hope we can pull it back a little bit because she's a little gruff. She's a little rough around the edges there. So you really, you kind of made me feel comfortable. We talked like a couple friends. You shared some stuff with the fans, very open and sharing. I have to thank you so much for spending the time with the fans because that's what this is for.
Yeah, well, I thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Is there anything I haven't touched upon? Maybe you have a message to your peers during the Kincaid, during the whole thing, or anything to the fans, or a promoter, or anything that I didn't touch upon?
No, let's just stay strong. I know we're all going through crazy times right now, and just hopefully this will end sooner than later, so that life could get back to normal as we know it. It sucks. Like, there's no wrestling, there's no anything. So, and a lot of people losing their jobs. You hear about like so many people passing away from this. So, just stay strong, stay healthy, stay home as much as you can, as much as you need to. And, hopefully everything will get back to normal soon.
Oh, that was a beautiful PSA from one Ariela, again, adorable tonight. It was a pleasure. This was Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my ultra special guest. I gotta get that little ultra in on the ladies for some reason. I don't know why. My ultra special guest, one Ariela Nyx. Thank you again.
Oh no, thank you. The pleasure was mine.